All right, day 4 of shelter in place. And when you go someplace, the streets are very sparse. You don't see a lot of people. I went to Target the other day because I realized that I don't have anything at my home to do my job other than a computer. And the computers at home pale in comparison to what we have access to on a college campus. The internet connectivity is not great. I don't have the same apps, the same features, the same programs. I don't have supplies, paper, sticky notes, the basics, even though we were allowed to go to campus for 30 minutes to retrieve some items from our office. I grabbed my last year's grant proposal, some other grant proposals that I'm working on, and brought them with me, and some instructional materials and items for my offsite programs. But I really, cleaned up a little bit, but didn't know what to bring in such a rush. But we were only allowed to go to campus for 30 minutes each in isolated quantities. Like I would go in one building when someone else is in another building. And it really does feel kind of like one of those dystopian stories where we're on the hot, we're on the low, we're hiding from the powers that be that are oppressing humanity, and we're hiding from other humans that might do harm to us. And it's like zombie apocalypse. It really is. It's like we're in an episode of The Walking Dead. The streets are desolate just about. The stores don't have any people. And you find yourself we're only in the first week, but you still find yourself when you run into someone ran into a coworker, Charlie, at Target when I was getting items for my office space. And we saw each other, and it was the funniest thing. It was like we didn't approach. We just said, hey, and talked down the aisle from each other. And then a group of teenagers came in behind me and kind of got close to me. So I moved closer to him, and we did this odd little dance where we kept about 10 feet between us and just kind of maneuvered in circles to avoid other human beings, and just trying to avoid getting a virus that we don't even know if it's here or not. We suspect it is. We don't know. In my community, in my city, they've had 7 diagnoses so far, and 1 in our twin city, Bossier. South Louisiana's not been as fortunate. They've had a lot more diagnoses. But we haven't had test kits here, so it's entirely possible that we've got a huge problem. We don't know because the tests aren't here yet. I think they're arriving now. And basically what happens is if you run a fever and you're coughing, you report to some type of medical facility. You report to a medical facility, and they determine whether or not you meet the criteria, and they will I think they test you and they send you home, and you wait for the results. They tell you to isolate or quarantine for 14 days while you wait, and then somewhere 2 or 3 days in that period of time you get the results of your test. And I'm hearing from more and more people that they know someone who's tested positive. It's their sister, their cousin, their neighbor, and that they're sure they tested positive, or they're waiting for the test to come back, but that's not really showing in the Department of Health data yet. So I don't know if the data is lagging, or if they're waiting, if they have some time. I'm sure they have a process of confirmation. I'm gut level confident that they don't want to post anything on their public site until they've confirmed it. I work for the government, so I know that we have our checks and balances, and sometimes 7 people have to sign off on something before you post it somewhere or illustrate it. Anyway, so I was really excited about my office space I showed you yesterday, and then I got out there and realized that my Wi-Fi signal is not strong enough to function in my RV from the house. So probably because it's getting pulled in, from other devices here. My mom lives with me now, and we got her a smartphone, so between her and my husband, they're staying pretty busy on their own devices, and I guess I need to get a booster of some sort. I decided to send a feeler out to my staff and ask them what items they needed to do their jobs, and I was delightfully surprised at how simple their needs are. It's great, and each one of them has come up with an innovative way to serve our students. All of them passionate about it, and it's funny because you would think, we were getting guidance from our leadership, and as is their job, human resources iterated, this is not a vacation, still, work as usual. And it's their job, it's their responsibility to be sure that we understand the parameters and the requirements of our work. But what I'm finding is that when they're not tied to a specific 40-week schedule, they give me way more than 40 hours of work. These people are up late at night. Right now, if I text them or call them, they're in the middle of a lesson plan. They rise to the challenge. They really do. And if you know an educator, because I think educators all have the same heart. We certainly don't do it for the money. We do it for empowerment of people. We believe in empowering people and changing the trajectory of lives. And it's meaningful work, and that meaning carries you through the struggles. So if you know an educator and the pandemic is over, hug them. I mean, hug them. Elementary, middle, or high school, hug them. Our teachers, our high school, elementary, and middle school teachers are fretting, calling homes because they see that their students aren't logging on to their software and checking their lesson plans. And I reassure parents that even though they feel like they're being checked on, I'm like, but isn't that great? Isn't it great that your teacher cares enough to call your home and make sure that your child is logging and doing what they need to do? That's not because it's their responsibility. It's their passion. They care about your child and they're worried about your child. And that makes everything, it really shows you the true meaning of humanity. So hug your educators when you see them. Meanwhile, because we have a whole lot of novice homeschool teachers and administrators now who were not prepared for this last Friday, as neither were we. I'm sure it's a daunting and intimidating task. So my group has decided we're going to offer them some services just to reassure them that you can do this. We can do this. We're going to get through it together. And a year from now, we're going to look back and go, man, what a year, right? So hang in there, whatever you're doing. If you're upright, breathing, and smiling, it's a good day. And I'll keep you posted. We're in day 4, Thursday. I'm losing track of the days, but today's day 4, Thursday. And if it gets worse, I'll let you know. I'm sure I'll have some bad days, but right now, it's still a good day. Talk to you soon.